My name is Stephanie Mullani. I live in Boise, Idaho. I'm an artist and a naturopath, and I have used flower remedies and flowers as inspiration for not only my creative life, but also for my personal healing journey. I've always been a big fan of flower remedies. Used them back when, during lockdowns, and my daughter was feeling quite suicidal, and I knew she'd need something to kind of push her out of that. I was also still recovering from some residual lifelong trauma. 18 years ago, I lost a child, and the sorrow of that, obviously the fear of almost losing another one during lockdowns, and the heaviness that was in the world at the time. And then also my spouse is a disabled veteran, and I had lost myself in so much of a caregiver role and almost trying to keep other people alive and then getting them to thrive. But I put myself on the back burner to do that. So I was really looking for my way, my voice, reconnecting with my power, my creativity, and brought back to the forefront. It was something that just had to, out of necessity, be put aside. And I just had to sort of shut down parts of my personality and my joy. I couldn't go pursue it. I was really knee deep in those caregiver type of duties. And then I still always wanted to feel more peace with my son's passing. And so when my practitioner friend introduced me to LOTUSWEI, it was so subtle yet powerful and profound. It felt like, I was hearing my voice again. It was coming back out of that thick fog that enveloped me for so many years. And it was getting in touch with my authentic voice to the degree that people who knew me, people who had worked with me in various capacities in energy work, in healing, in recovering from trauma, were like, I've never heard you this clear. I've never heard you be able to articulate like this. And this is people I'd worked with for years. And they're like, you're finally able to articulate this. I wish you would have said this all along. Well, I didn't have my voice. I didn't feel like I could find the words to piece together. And so I felt like the remedies helped that fog sort of lift and the clouds to part. And I was like, oh, there's the words. It seems so obvious now, but I just couldn't reach them. And then going through the experience of playing with the remedies, and I loved, the flower quiz, just being back in touch with a deeper part of myself and an authentic part of myself. Having it wake up again has been such a rebirth and a lovely, beautiful new time for me to just get back in touch with a person I felt like I lost and I wasn't sure if I'd ever find again. So this journey obviously was a very long one because it was 18 years ago that I lost my son. And even though I felt like I made peace with it, even though I felt like I was making peace with my daughter's recovery after lockdowns when she was depressed, and then after my spouse was able to get hip replacement and everything for the disabilities from the military, it was finally able to focus on me. But all along I had been trying to do so much in the background just to keep my head above water, to manage that, manage my psyche, my daughter's, my husband's, everything that was just so, it felt like loose threads and we could never tie them together. Well, all of a sudden, I come to these flower remedies after using so many other energetic modalities and energy work I have monthly appointments with for years, talk therapy, harmonic egg, EES rooms, all of these things, singing bowls. While I had beautiful experiences, I still wasn't able to get deeply, deeply in touch with my voice that I thought I had lost forever. I couldn't get in touch with my dreams anymore. Like the truth of who I was, it felt like it kind of floated away in a mist under all the weight of real life. And then on a short time of flower essences, little pieces, it was like the fractured puzzle pieces of my life that just disappeared into the ether, were coming back down, snapping into place. And I would say to these energy workers, people who knew me, my friends, they'd be like, you were never this articulate before. You never quite had the words, and you weren't so powerful in putting forth your own presence again and really declaring what you wanted. But all of a sudden it just sort of gelled and the puzzle pieces snapped back and it was like, oh my God, I'm finding myself again. After losing a child after my spouse was losing abilities due to disabilities from the military, after lockdowns hit and my youngest child got depressed, so many things, it just felt like everything was coming apart at the seams, and that I would never get in touch with the once creative, playful, curious, youthful, joyful spirit that was always inside of me, that was very childlike, that was always very playful. I was always a person who saw the cup as way more than half full. And then, life circumstance after life circumstance after life circumstance, it got really heavy. Ancient Hawaiians have this story. The true story of Ho'opono is that each child is born with a bowl of light, but we collect stones in the bowl and they cover our light. And that's what it felt like. It felt like another heavy stone, another heavy stone. Why so many heavy stones? And when am I ever going to return to the light? Will they ever lift or spill over or get removed again? Because I knew it was such a depressing thing, not only to go through various forms of loss and witness it in the people I loved and losing a child, but losing myself became that final scariest piece of all. I felt like all of it had almost obliterated me in the process. And I thought, I'm never going to get joy back. How do you get joy back after all that heaviness? And yeah, I really, truly felt like consistent use of the flower remedies just brought me back to myself. It makes me pretty emotional because the joy started returning. The pieces of my voice I could hear again. I could remember who I was before all of that heaviness of life really started covering up my own light. And piece by piece, there were just little cracks restoring in that bowl, right? Another stone lifted, another stone lifted. And then I just became so much more clear-minded, articulate in what I wanted in my goals. The visions returned to me, which is super important as an artist and a visionary person. I get so many visions. And when I lost touch with those, I thought, life's just gotten too heavy and dark. These clouds are obscuring everything. So for me to have those part and be able to see my way again and my path forward was absolutely soul restoring. It was like a rebirth into a second childhood full of wonder again and joy and possibilities, where I could creatively see my visions and then just really start executing and going, I think I'm going to make it. I think I'm going to be back on a track I thought I had lost forever, but I haven't. I mean, I have a serious collection at this point, and a combination of the anointing oils and the sprays and the elixirs under the tongue and just all of them. And I love just being able to rub some of them on my skin and use them in so many different ways. It feels like a luxurious pampering, and that's me time. That's time where I go, I can't forget to do this. Every day I have to go straight to these, and I have to do it multiple times a day because it feels like a return to me. And it's that reminder of like the deep self-care, and I'm totally worth it. And I keep flowering, which is so lovely, such a lovely gift from the flowers. But I do feel like, oh my goodness, another petal unfolded inside of me, and another petal unfolded, and this new dimension, this new world is sort of being birthed in this gentle, loving, joyful way. It really is like the flowers are just giving me a hug, and they're loving me, and they're supporting me. I would say in terms of family changes under my roof in my household, because my spouse had been a disabled veteran before a double hip replacement and so many things, there were just a lot of heavy stressors in life and extra physical and emotional burdens that fell to me. And then this sort of rolled downhill and affected time with the kids, all of these things. But once I added flower essences, of course, he got some mobility back, which was wonderful. Once that happened, then it was like, okay, now it's time to focus on me. You can only put yourself aside to the back burner for so long in a caregiver mode before everything in you is screaming for attention and it's drowning. So when it became time to reprioritize myself, and then I introduced flower essences, I could tell for years that little spark of joy that had been so hard to reactivate through years of other modalities, of therapeutic modalities and energy work modalities, I just still wanted a different quality of a shift. And I feel like that's what they provided. Suddenly it was like, oh wow, I'm more clear about my tasks in the day. I'm more clear about how to articulate and communicate to my spouse, to my children, my needs, and what needs to happen in the course of a day. So mom can feel sane too, and joy too, and go about her life as an independent human being as well, not just the one who takes care of manages the things in the home. I know for sure that my spouse said, because we had done a lot of different therapy and energy work modalities to deal with a lot of his physical and then the fallout of the emotional trauma that had on us both in the marriage. It was like he would just say to me, well, how come you didn't say this clear before? How come suddenly you have a clarity you never had before? I said, because I couldn't even find the words before. I couldn't. I needed this help, this assist from these essences to just sort of, it's so subtle but so powerful, just open little tiny doors that I felt like the words were locked away in. They were obscured. I just couldn't find them. And then it just became, wow, now I'm articulate. Wow, I really can state my needs. Wow, well, why didn't you say this before? Well, I didn't have the words before. And thank you, flowers, now I do. My daughter as well, just a different kind of engagement we were able to have with each other, you know, when you're raising a teenager, which was less head to head and far more just a gentle, like beautiful, oh my gosh, we're falling into like this softness and this playfulness and an easier rapport with each other. So I would say absolutely on every level for communication, for my voice, for them to hear it, for them to be able to acknowledge that I'm showing up in a different way, communicating in a different way, that I've been easier to understand than ever before because I'm not just sort of crying out with like, help, help, I'm drowning. You know? I'm more like, wait a minute, I'm not drowning anymore. And then my nervous system can settle and relax. And then also they can see it, they can hear it, they can feel it. So the quality of the communication and the nature of the relationships has improved. If I could say anything about the power of flower essences and the beauty of nature and how much it offers us, everything it has, it calls out to us to support us. I mean, if you think about the way that a flower calls out to a bee or a hummingbird, and it's just bringing you in to say, I love you, I have treats for you, I have good things for you, I have the nectar of life. I just feel like they offer the most beautiful invitation. And until you arrive at the square where you actually know flower remedies exist and their essences are a thing that can delight your life way more powerfully than even just the beauty of having flowers in your garden or having them on your table. People just think of, oh my God, I know I love the sight of them. I know I love to touch the softness of the petal. I know I love their fragrance, but they don't know about the essences that you can take into your being on a deeper level through these beautiful oils and sprays and tinctures under your tongue, and how much the flowers are just waiting to assist humanity in this beautiful, literally blossoming. When you think about it, it is totally literal. And if you're just looking for a new way to unfold a new chapter in your life, go to the flower essences.